Universe Jamaica, beautifully confident and enhancing lives.
It's Monday, July 1, 2024. Welcome to CVM News at noon. I'm Nika Lewis. The government at 10 a.m. Monday issued a hurricane storm watch for Jamaica, but residents in the Eastern Caribbean have already started to feel the effects of the menacing Category 4 Hurricane Beryl. The footage we're about to show you is from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, currently under hurricane warning alongside Barbados, Grenada and Tobago.
That next roof there, start to raise up and then the little silver boys. Yo, we have to watch so in case a governor is coming. This St. Vincent, yes. We're not in Barbados, St. Vincent.
And across social media, users have already started documenting the early effects of the system. Jamaica is expected to feel Beryl's outer bands come Wednesday as it inches precariously closer to the island. Fishers are already being urged to re-enter port, and the climate minister, Matthew Samuda, says it's time to be proactive.
Trucks and the varying models, I believe 12 models have shown it interacting with Jamaica at some level and some degree. It's not a time for panic, it's a time for preparation. This preparation will not be wasted. Whatever you invest in this preparation will benefit you should the storm impact us negatively.
Now, the government convened its Disaster Risk Coordination Committee at the Local Government Ministry earlier today. Minister Desmond McKenzie briefed the cabinet at 11 o'clock, and the Prime Minister is expected to brief the nation at 1 p.m.
We are hoping for the best, but we're asking you to prepare for the worst.
Principal Director of the Meteorological Service of Jamaica, Evan Thompson, gave an update on Hurricane Beryl, which was upgraded to a Category 4 hurricane, and we'll take that later on. But for now, the skeletal remains believed to be that of 54-year-old Delroy Carter, who was reported missing almost 2 years ago, has since been recovered near his home in Craighead, Manchester. Carter, who lived alone, went missing in September 2022, and police and relatives identified his clothing. The police believe no foul play was involved. The remains were taken to the morgue for DNA testing. In 2019, 5 of the top 20 recorded rape rates worldwide were in the Caribbean. Jamaica was among those with the highest rates. The government continues to support victims of gender-based violence through its shelters. Speaking on Lead Story recently, representative from the Bureau of Gender Affairs, Joni James, and the head of the JCF Domestic Violence Intervention Centers, DSP Jacqueline Dillon, say the country will continue supporting victims.
When you think about domestic violence, it covers a wide range. So it doesn't matter who the individual is. It is our responsibility as the ministry to reach out and give the support. A lot of our victims, when through the help of the JCF, a lot of the times when we reach a shelter, we realize that they're pregnant. So babies have been born.
Wow.
Right. So sometimes they don't know, because the reality is persons who are victims of gender-based violence, they have unprotected sex with their partner. Sometimes, they are forced to have sex with the partner, and hence sometimes they become pregnant and they're unaware of the situation. And through the National Shelter, we provide the support for them and their children as well, because we need to include the mother now and now the baby when it comes on to that.
We have had a number of nationals from other countries who meet people on social media, and they come to Jamaica, get into a relationship, and find out when they come here it's not what they thought it was. We have had persons from within the region who is the same situation, and we have been able to repatriate persons back to their country. Yes. After we have taken them out of some situations that they may be in, and we send them back home. There are a few of them who say, I'm not ready to go home. And therefore, we can't do nothing at all. We can't do anything if a victim is not ready to let go.
Annually, July 1 is observed as Canada Day, and the day signifies 157 years since the passing of the Confederation Act and the country's formal creation. Speaking on Sunrise this morning, High Commissioner of Canada in Jamaica and the Bahamas, Emina Tudakovich, says she's proud to have visited the island for the celebration.
It's been very great at advocating for Jamaican interests, but we were one of the first countries to recognize Jamaica's independence. We've been friends for, 62 years. And so a lot of what we do is really just continuing to advance and grow that relationship. So if you're a High Commissioner, you're ambassador, so I'm representing the Prime Minister in Canada. Yes. So I'm Canada's highest representative here. So we have, it's our largest diplomatic mission in the Caribbean is here in Jamaica, almost 80 staff. Yes. And so we have people in charge of trade, consular, defense. We have a very vibrant defense and security relationship, and overseas development assistance. So we still have some traditional projects that we do with Jamaica, responding to what Jamaica's asked us in terms of goals towards getting towards the 2030 agenda. Visas, migration, seasonal agricultural workers. So really, I kind of manage all that for us. I mean, so there's that kind of sexy, exciting stuff, which is like administrative and budget stuff, and enabling my staff to do what they do, which is the bulk of the work. And then it's the bilateral relationship, how we cooperate multilaterally on things like democracy, issues such as Haiti. Yes. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but I really enjoyed that.
Conservative groups are displeased with the response of the Ministry of Health in suspending the Youth Chats messaging platform. The ministry is being criticized for being what advocates call licky-licky, although Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton, in a post-cabinet briefing on Wednesday, assured the platform is being reviewed. In a protest outside the Ministry of Health on Friday, June 28, the Jamaica Coalition for a Healthy Society demanded the platform be permanently removed.
We don't need our children to be confused. We have enough drama going on in Jamaica with crime and all kinds of horrible things with our children. So let us not confuse them. So we're calling the Minister of Health, to shut down this chatbot, please. We do not need something like this now. We don't need our children to be confused. Okay? Please, shut it down.
Stay with us. CVM News at Noon continues after this break.
Sure we can. We never see a boil up party like you.
Hey son, you good?
No, Dad, I'm starving. Can we get some juicy patties?
Celebrating over 40 years of everyday moments.
Let's go! Bag it and pin it, every rubbish in a pan. No dirty up the place, this a we island. So keep Jamaica. Say me we do it, keep Jamaica clean. Make you listen to me please. No plastic bag, no fear blowing at the breeze. No proper garbage, disposal, recycle plastic, now make it full up in the streets. Bag it and pin it, every rubbish in a pan. No dirty up the place, this a we island. So keep Jamaica. Say me we do it. A message from the National Solid Waste Management Authority.
Bollywood has never been this good. Catch Made for Each Other weekdays at 12:30 p.m. on your drama station. Brought to you by Hyundai.
Welcome back. It's time for our discussion segment as Hurricane Beryl, a powerful Category 4 hurricane, barrels through the Caribbean. Countries like St. Lucia are bracing for its impact, and now we go live to that island where we have a resident and content creator, Jancel Thomas, joining us to give insights into the current conditions and preparations on the ground. Jancel, welcome. This is CVM News at Noon. Thanks so much for joining us. Well,
Thank you very much for having me.
Indeed. Please go ahead and describe the current weather conditions at your home in St. Lucia as Beryl barrels through.
Okay, so in Castries, St. Lucia, which is the capital of St. Lucia, right now we have winds and we have a little bit of rain. However, before we had some more rain. I could tell you about the other parts of St. Lucia, like the south, which is in Soufrière, Labrie. Yes. We have a lot of rain and a lot of heavy winds. However, there is not any loss of life reported yet. We're hoping that it stays that way. Also, the Office of the Prime Minister just released a statement stating that we're no longer under hurricane conditions, but we are now under tropical storm watch. So this is an update from St. Lucia right now.
So that changes how residents may have been preparing and the effect that you're anticipating to feel from this hurricane. If it's seemingly downgrading from hurricane to a tropical storm, is it a downgrade in your mind? Does it look any differently from what you were seeing before?
Yes, it was a category 3, so it is a downgrade, and we are very, very thankful that this has happened because we were expecting the worst, but now it is not as bad as we would expect. We have winds and we do have rain. Some persons has lost their roof. There are some areas where we have a little bit of flooding, but it's nothing so major as far as I have collected in terms of videos and information.
Right. So help our viewers understand. You're in Castries, the capital, are you?
Capital, Castries, yes, that's where I am right now.
Which means you may not have been faced with the power cuts and all of that, but do you know if there have been any power cuts, evacuation orders, shelter usage? What's happening on the ground elsewhere from your knowledge?
Okay, so I could tell you the Prime Minister of St. Lucia and the government of St. Lucia have done an amazing job in ensuring that the shelters are ready and persons are under the emergency organization. They are waiting for if anything is to happen. However, as far as information is coming to me right now, we haven't had many persons moving into the shelters as yet. However, we did have outages in places like Babono, which is close to Castries. They have no electricity, and I'm not sure when it will return to them, but they did have an outage in that area.
What measures, if you're aware, certainly have been taken to protect vulnerable populations, you know, the elderly, those living in low-lying areas? I'm sure the government must have shared a few of their plans.
Yes, so what the government did was since yesterday and day before, they did mobilize the people, the government officers to go out and check on those persons who are living in those areas prone to flooding. And they also ensure that those persons are brought to places where they are safe. There are also persons who went to family houses. They felt like they were not in a safe condition. And also the churches as well went out to check on the members before the hurricane our shutdown would have started, because we have been on shutdown from last night, 8:30 p.m. and we're still under shutdown right now.
Despite the downgrade that you've since announced?
Yes, the all clear is granted, so we are still indoors and monitoring the now tropical.
Jantel, one of the things about Jamaicans that we always see here in the newsroom is that once we hear announcement of any tropical storm, hurricane, once major announcements are made in terms of preparation, supermarket shelves go empty, people go into panic shopping mode sometimes, and then there's a lull. Was that similar in terms of post-warning and preparation for Hurricane Beryl?
Can you just repeat?
So in Jamaica, we
had a short stage where the
That's fine. So I'm saying in Jamaica, we have a situation where once a hurricane is named and we're watching it or we're under alert, we tend to go into shopping frenzies. And so we wanted to know what the situation was like preparation-wise prior to the lockdown.
Yes, in St. Lucia, the supermarkets were filled, persons were all out shopping, getting last minute stuff to make sure that we are ready to place. They told us that we need to have items and items for at least 3 days. So this is what persons went out and do yesterday, and by 8:30 last night we were on total shutdown.
What about defiance? Do you typically see locals being defiant to the warnings for evacuation, telling the government they're not moving? Is that typically a thing when you have disasters of this nature impacting the country?
Because of the magnitude of what was happening and how serious it was, the government did an amazing job at ensuring that persons were aware of what a category 3 hurricane can be. And a lot of persons were cooperating with the government to make sure that they are in safer conditions and not being defiant. I haven't heard of anyone going against the rules, and that's just as far as I know.
Understood. Well, in our final farewell, our parting shot, we want you to advise fellow Caribbean citizens, not just in St. Lucia, but elsewhere, who might be impacted by this tropical storm or hurricane, depending on what it becomes later on. What message would you have for them?
Pray, and also make sure that you are just prepared. Because if you don't prepare yourself and something major happens, you will regret that you did not take the warning. So just listen to the advisory from the government and be very, very vigilant.
And they say you never should preempt your final question in journalism, because you might end up doing what I'm doing now. But how has the atmosphere there been in St. Lucia amidst the preparation? We know the anxiety might be rising, but what's it been like?
Well, during the preparation, we were cutting down trees and making sure that low-lying areas, lines that are low, we have any trees around it. The atmosphere right now, persons are in home, school is closed, and persons are just watching for the passing of this storm for us to be able to be back outside and doing what we love in St. Lucia.
You mentioned that you're under lockdown and you've pretty much been told to prepare for 3 days, possibly under lockdown. But looking ahead, what are the expectations for the next, say, 24 to 48 hours?
So we're going to prepare for 3 days in terms of the hurricane item. However, more than likely by, say, tonight, the Prime Minister, if everything is okay, the Prime Minister should give an okay, because as you know, right now we thrive on tourism. The airports are closed. There are many persons on my TikTok account telling me about that they had to come into St. Lucia for different reasons, whether it be business trips and vacation. So the Prime Minister and the government of St. Lucia will be on it in terms of ensuring that St. Lucia is reopened at quickest so that we can continue doing what we love in St. Lucia.
Right. Well, we wish you and your fellow countrymen all the best, and we hope that you'll recover swiftly from the storm. That was St. Lucian Jancel Thomas giving us an update on Hurricane Beryl. She said that it's downgraded there from a Category 4 to a Category 3, and things could lift for them pretty soon. Thanks again, Jancel.
Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
Right. Now, as of the latest hurricane update, Beryl has intensified here for us into an extremely dangerous Category 4 storm, and it makes the first hurricane of the season 2024 for the Atlantic hurricane season as a Category 4 of that nature. The storm poses a significant threat to the southeast Caribbean region. Hurricane Beryl's rapid intensification into a Category 4 hurricane signifies that it has sustained winds of at least 130 knots, approximately 150 miles per hour, or 241 kilometers per hour. But Raheem White shares more.
According to the U.S. National Hurricane Center, NHC, Beryl is currently churning in the Atlantic Ocean about 350 miles or 565 kilometers east of Barbados. The NHC is warning residents that this is a very dangerous situation and has urged everyone to heed local government and emergency management instructions. The U.S. National Hurricane Center says